Over the years, I've been privileged to work with amazing sets of designers doing residential buildings, commercial typologies, heritage spaces, and theme parks. Aside from my 9 to 5, I am committed to education, where I teach and share my knowledge with people that are willing to learn. And yeah, that's a bit about me.
Thank you very much. You guys have to turn on your camera while we wait for others to join, so you can see your beautiful faces. Okay, lovely to see Ebuka, Tumi, Taslimah.
Hi, Gbemi. I'll be sharing. I'm sorry, I can't share my screen right now, but I'll be doing so in a couple of minutes. Thanks.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine, no problem. Okay, Tumi, you can go ahead and just tell us a bit about yourself before we start the main event. Hello, Tumi, can you hear me? You're muted. We can't hear you. I don't know if any other person can hear you. Can we hear Tumi, or is just my network?
Now, perhaps.
Okay, yes, we can hear you.
Let me try this one. Can you hear me now, perhaps?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you. You can go ahead. Can you hear me? Hello, Tumi, can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me? Any good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you so much for taking it. Thank you for this opportunity. Just to introduce myself very briefly, my name is Retumetsi Malefane. I'm a lecturer, architect coming from Gqeberha, South Africa. And the best way to describe my work myself is I am quite interested into decolonial approaches within architecture, really exploring, discovering a new form of architecture that really grounds an African expression in context. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tumi. Taslimah, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, so sorry, I can't share my screen right now, but I'll be doing so shortly.
Okay.
Mr. Taslimah Woli, an architectural designer, interior designer, and visual storyteller. I use photography as a tool to highlight buildings that are on the verge of erasure. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Taslimah. Okay, so we would be starting straight up. So we also have Toby. Toby, oh God, like it wasn't easy journey Toby to this place. So please let's just appreciate Toby. So Toby is the founder of Let's Talk Design. Toby is my big ogre. So Toby is finally here. So Toby, can you just tell us a few things before we start?
Hi, Barry. Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'd like to start by saying thank you to all the guests for making our time. Design conversations are something I'm really excited about, and Baby has been pushing. I'm in school at the moment. I'm at the University of Waterloo. That's why it's been a lot juggling work, family. Nice to see you, Stephen. This is the first time I'm getting to meet you. Nice to meet you, Timmy. And Taslimah, I've seen your pictures. Amazing, amazing. To me, I hope it's the weather is beautiful in South Africa. It's nice to meet you and sharing the experience. Myself and Chukwuebuka were in Canada together, and Bimi, amazing job. Bimi pulled all these through together. I was just in the background, but yeah, I'm looking forward to an exciting conversation. Thank you to everyone who also joined.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we'll be starting now. So culture, context, and creativity, that is our topic for today. Okay, so we've introduced ourselves to each other, we've explained what we do, and okay, so we'll be starting on with like icebreaker sessions. So you guys are not so serious, architecture, you guys are serious, you guys need to, calm down a bit. So so we'll be starting off with a series of questions. Okay, so for the first question, relating to culture, if your design were a place, where would it be? If you could make your design somewhere, where would you like your design to be? So starting from Ebuka, yes.
Thank you. I feel like my design style honestly has changed over the years with like a plethora of project experience and project types. I'm inspired by this Brazilian architect called Oscar Niemeyer. I'm inspired by him because he has like this intrinsic love for free flowing curves. And another one is the Spanish architect and engineer Santiago Calatrava. He makes this amazing dynamic kind of kinetic flowing structures in their motion where he blends architecture and engineering because he studied both. It just looks like it's frozen in time, and you just kind of admire the beautiful edifice. So they're both from Brazil and Spain. So I would say Brazil and Spain. Those are my answers.
Thank you very much. I thought you were going to mention that, but that's great also. Okay, so Taslimah, if your design style were to be in a place, where would it be?
I feel like this is a very difficult question. I've never thought about this before, but off the top of my head, I'll probably just say Nigeria.
That's so nice, Taslimah. That's so nice. So to me, same question goes to you. If your design style were to be in a place, where would it be?
Can I just ask you the question again? If my design style was to be replaced, where would it be? Is that the question?
No, was to be in a place like a city, a place. Where
Oh,
would you
okay,
like to?
yeah. I would say in the world, but I think for me, I would be more concerned really within any African city. And I think for me, it's a case of finding a authentic expression of architecture that's rooted in culture and local materials. So for me, it would be just an exploration of different places within an African context. That would be for me something that would be would surely express myself through architecture, I think.
Thank you so much, Timmy. Okay, so to the next question, why did you choose architecture? So I've asked almost all of you this question in person. So starting from Ebuka, can you just tell us, okay, why architecture?
Yeah, for sure. I chose architecture because it allows me to blend my passion with my purpose. Um, when I finished from secondary school back in 2015, there were four options in a typical Nigerian household. You either do engineering, you either do lawyer, be a lawyer, a medical student or a disgrace to the family. I didn't want to be number four. So I was like, you know what? Let's do engineering. I flew to Canada, and in my first year, I failed my courses. I didn't pass any of them. Not because I didn't understand what they were teaching in classes, but I would just go to exams and blank out. So I called my father and I told him, it's not working out. Like, I want to do what I wanted to do like this whole time, which is architecture. Architecture aligns with my lifelong ambitions that are centered on uplifting and respecting the amazing relationship that we as humans share with the built in, like, environment. Like, right from primary school in Lagos, Nigeria, I've always had this insatiable urge to create spaces and places. You know, as you gain experience in the industry, you quickly realize that you're no longer just designing buildings, you're curating experiences for the inhabitants of the space that will last a lifetime. A properly designed courtyard becomes a safe space for a middle-aged mother to reflect after like a long day. A beautiful cafe, you know, downtown Toronto can become a long-lasting timestamp in the memory of two individuals that, you know, went on a date for a first time and had an immersive experience and conversation that sparked something between them. A place of worship, like a church or a mosque or a traditional palace, turns into like a significant experience where someone connects with the divine and live to tell that story. It's these stories and experiences that kind of made me want to do architecture and what has kept me going so far. So that's my answer.
Thank you very much, Ebuka. Okay, Taslimah, can you tell us why you chose architecture?
Okay, thank you for the question. But not my story is not any password to Maguire anything. I was honestly just avoiding chemistry. That was why I went for architecture. So, but when I started architecture, sorry about that. So when I started architecture, I began to like it, but before I started, there was no love for the profession.
Hello, Taslimah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Did you get what I said earlier?
Okay. We thought you were still going to continue. Okay, thank you very much for that, Taslimah. Okay, so to me, why did you choose architecture?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So it has been a long journey for myself. I can go back to early childhood when I was 5, 6 years old. Just really what I enjoyed doing as a child, playing with Lego. It was something that I, would immerse stories into just the playing and creating the space and atmosphere around people in society. And then, of course, as I grew older and plugging into more software games when I was in grade 6, like your Sims, and like, oh, this was actually really fun. It was something that I could actually spend. And at that time, as a child, you just consume so much of your time just creating this whole world. So I think for me, that really just did give me a gauge that, okay, it's going to be something in the built environment. And for me, it had to be architecture because it does allow a bit more creative expression for myself. And right now, this is something I enjoy as a hobby. It's something that really allows me just to express myself. Some people can rap, have songs, and for me, architecture is just my creative muse. So that's really why I'm on this path of architecture.
Okay, thank you so much for that to me. Okay, so we'll be going to the next question. What's a non-architecture thing that inspires you from Ebuka?
Right now, at the current stage of my life, I'm into film and cinematography. I feel like it plays a huge part in my creativity with like architecture and design, whether it's script writing, videography, just the principles of design, storytelling, color grading, and sound design. when I go to watch movies with my friends or by myself on Instagram, I pay really close attention to all these elements that come together to kind of produce a body of work. So this kind of inspires me a lot. It's not architecture, but it's also a different form of art.
Thank you very much, Ibuka. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so Taslimah, can you tell us one non-architecture thing that inspires you?
Photography inspires me a lot when I consume, or let me just say art generally. When I consume art from other people, when I go to art galleries, museums, and artists are explaining their work, it just changes my perspective or enhances my perspective, and I'm able to translate that into my work as an architect.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that, Taslimah. Okay, to me, can you just tell us one non-architecture thing that inspires you?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question, to be honest. I would say generally it might be landscapes, travel, and that could be as easy of traveling between city places and just really experiencing the landscape. And with each landscape, there's a different tune to the context, different nature of how you can experience and see the whole context as a whole. So for me, just that whole experience of traveling through different contexts really does for me give inspiration towards architecture.
Thank you very much, Simi. So for the final question for the icebreaker session, describe your design style in 3 words. So in 3 words, you have to describe your design style. Okay, so Ibuka, can you tell us?
That's a really hard question because I feel like it changes every single year for me because I have different passions in different things. But right now, I would say eccentric, modern, and kinetic.
Wow. Wow. Okay, Taslimah, can you tell us yours?
Human, cozy, peaceful.
Wow. Thank you so much, Taslimah. Sumi, can you tell us yours?
Another difficult question. Autobiographical, contemporary, and cultural.
Wow. Wow. You guys are just, yeah, I'm going to fire. I've not even thought of things like that. Okay, so we'll be going to the main conversations now. Okay, so we'll be starting from Eduka. So we'll be going alphabetically, Eduka, Taslimah, and Sumi. Okay, so for the first question for Eduka, um, so is there a project that has helped you to see design more than just a building, but a storytelling? Is there any projects you've worked on, and like just tell us more about the project?
Absolutely. This was 2021. It was the final year of architecture school. It wasn't actually a building. It was actually a sculptural work. It was a group project uh, by me and my friends. Kenny Musa. He also goes to the University of Waterloo that Toby is currently in.
Okay.
And Victor Odusoya. He's a landscape architect and a junior project manager. He's still in Winnipeg. We had this annual competition that runs every year in Winnipeg called Cool Gardens, whereby they put out the Faculty of Architecture at the University of Manitoba in conjunction with the Forks. It's like a landmark in Winnipeg. They come together and put out a call for people to submit proposals, and it was our last design projects. We were like, you know what, let's just do it one more time. If we don't win, we don't win, but if we win, we win. It was called Masked Conversations. It's a group of 7 sculptors that tell a story through facial expression. COVID just happened a year before, and everyone was in lockdown. And we were just trying to kind of convey our message of what does it mean to be an audience? What does it mean to be a part of a play? What does it mean to be part of a site? It's just this nuanced conversations of having conversations within COVID that we kind of froze in time and made it a sculpture. Taking elements from the sites like the colors and the heights, and we also have a video online whereby we kind of created and curated the whole process. When you're in university, you're given a brief to design something, but you don't end up building it. This was different because we had the budget to build it. The city gave us 8,000 Canadian dollars to build it. So you're not just actually drawing things on paper. You have that accountability to actually source the materials locally, as well as building it together. This taught me a lot about materiality and just how things are put together. Anyone can whip up a really nice Revit render or Revit, diagram, but if you don't really know how to take that idea from concept to schematics to actual build form, whereby you're working with sub consultants, coordination, you're working with people and working with money. I feel like that's where the real growth kind of came from. And I'm glad it came early in my, career, whereby I was able to amass this experience and watch the ideas that I sketched on like paper to Revit to Enscape. We now actually built it in person. We got covered by CBC News just to tell our stories as young Nigerian designers, just looking for a platform to just tell our stories and create. So this is a project that I would say helped me to see design more than just a building, but incorporating elements of storytelling and placemaking.
Wow. And Tumi must have been so lost, like the way he was so relaxed and listening to everything that Ebuka said. But yeah, thank you so much, Ebuka. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so to Taslimah, so how do you express who you are through your design?
Okay, so an integral part of design or design for me is the storytelling. So when it comes to interiors, I try to frame or try to profile the client. By profiling, I don't mean to use it as a bad word. So say for example, Baby Solar comes and says, "Oh, Tassim, I need you to work and so project for me, this." So I try to put myself in the shoes of Baby. What are the things that have influenced Baby Solar's style? Is it the places that she has traveled to? Is it the food she eats? Is it the type of friends she moved? Just trying to come up with that, and then my design would now be something that appeal to that person, right? Yeah. So that's one thing that is very important to me when I'm designing the storytelling. And even when it comes to like my photography, I write pop photo essays, and it's not just looking at buildings or taking a fine a picture of a fine building or a picture of an old building. Again, trying to see how all of the pictures I take are able to connect to each other, are able to tell the same story. Okay, there's one of my projects. It's called Silence Dialogue. In that project, I was documenting whole buildings in Lagos, Ibadan, Ijebu-Ode, Ofar, here in Nigeria, and trying to understand what stories do this building actually tell. Maybe in years to come, when those buildings have been demolished because they are close to being demolished, when those buildings are demolished, generations to come can go and look at that project and be like, okay, what was this place like before? Like what was it like in generations before us? So storytelling is a very integral part of what I do.
Thank you so much for that, Taslima. And I really like you guys should check out the photographs. Like it was very, very amazing. The photo essays, like it was very amazing. Okay, so for Tumi, um, so your question, you moved between academia, research, and practice. How have these different worlds influenced your architectural thinking?
Thank you for the question. Um, I would say it is sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think about this very, very well. Um, in a way, I could say that I don't know. I'm not okay. What's the best way to say this? It puts me in a place where but I'm continuously questioning decisions and my design methods. And I think really by having this weaving of being in practice and still really getting into theoretical foundations of architecture. And for context, I'm coming from Nelson Mandela University in Quebec, Eastern Cape. And over the years, past few years, we've really established ourselves, I could say confidently, as a leading architecture school in the country. And with that, it comes a lot of discussion, debates around spatial underpinnings of architecture in itself. And in that mode of really engaging with my peers, colleagues, it has really made me be a bit more intentional around the spaces I am exploring within architecture. So it really puts me in a space whereby I am really trying to relearn in cycles of architecture. And I'm reading this book again. I'm From Bauhaus to My House. Really just trying to look at space from 1920s, and it's just purely a spatial endeavor in how I would see architecture. And for me, it's a case whereby I'm trying to critique and really explore, explore a language that for me I can be really that expresses my architectural arsenal. If that makes sense.
Thank you very much for that, Sunny. Thank you so, so much. You guys are doing amazing things, right? And I'm just here thinking, hey, God. So the next question for Ebuka. So you moved across architecture, cinematography, interiors. So how do these worlds connect in your creative process?
Thank you very much for your question. Like I mentioned earlier, I've always had this insatiable urge to create things over the years. In my short stint as a designer, I've gravitated towards the fields that you mentioned, like architecture, interior design, public art, public sculpture, film coordination, and cinematography. I like to call them my creative buckets. Um, I fill these buckets up by learning and experimenting with different forms, different techniques, different materials, and different places, just to kind of see how far I can push myself. I do this simultaneously, obviously, some more than others as time permits, based on my commitment to my work, my commitment to making content online, my commitment to just my personal life, in a different city. So I would say that's how my creative journey has been so far.
Thank you so much, Ibuka. Ibuka did mention one other thing from his content creation, but don't worry, as we go on, he would mention it. Okay, so Taslima, so your design process is built on memory, empathy, storytelling. So, where did that come from? Why did you start that?
Thank you. So, I think in my third year in architecture school, I started to write. There were just a lot of things that were going on in my head, and writing was just the way for me to express it. So I started writing. I also started this would I call it like an interview series? So I usually publish new interviews every Sunday. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but eventually when I finished school, one day I just picked up my camera and I started taking pictures. I still didn't know what I was doing. And then I just came up with a project, submitted it to the publishing house, and long after I've submitted that work, the response came and they're like, "Oh, would like to publish your work." And at that point, I still it hadn't come together. So even at work, again, storytelling is an important part of what we do in my workplace. So anything that has to do with storytelling for projects, my boss just leaves it to me. Go and do it. It's your thing. At the time when I was writing, I wasn't too foresightful. Oh, maybe so if I start writing today, so I'm going to now submit my photography next year. And then my boss will now start assigning a task to me. You know, I didn't know how everything was going to come together. But now, as I'm looking back, I can see that none of the things that I did in school and even after school, none of it is wasted, because even photography, if you finish a project, you would probably call an architecture photographer to help you snap it. The way you're going to snap it is different from how the architecture photographer will snap it to make it look presentable. So everything, now I see how it all ties together, but I didn't plan for it to be. It's just something that as as I continue my journey, I can just see how everything is aligning.
Thank you so much, Taslimah. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so to me, um, so I'll be asking you the question I asked Taslimah earlier. How do you express who you are through your designs?
Sure. Very inquisitive. I would say, looking at myself as a nature, myself as a person, I'm very inquisitive. I am someone who is not quick to settle for something conventional. I would like to kind of look for alternative ways of construction, and also something that is very aesthetically pleasing as well. So it's this tension between an architecture that is contemporary and well-rooted in culture and context, that you can have a sense that it's where it's supposed to be. So, and in that tension, it's still something that is unconventional in a way that looks beyond conventions, at least from the perspective of the client or what he or she's looking to design. So it's a whole exploration. It's a journey for me, and that's the best way I could actually describe it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you so much. You guys are just dropping amazing facts, like back to back. Okay, so for the next question, Ebuka, so we'll be going to the culture and content and context session. We've been talking about the creative journey, so we'll be going now into the culture part. Let me put that if you have questions, you can just hold on. We'll be having a question and answer session at the end of this session. Okay, so Ebuka, you in your experience, what makes a design truly African? Is it the form, the story, or the intention behind it?
Good question. I feel it's an amalgamation of everything, inclusive. The bedrock of, what makes something truly African. I would say the values, first of all. African values are unique, spans across 52 countries in the continent, and divided by borders, languages, dialects. We still have shared values that kind of transcends just language. It kind of seeps into character, behavior, human life, and just ways of community and gathering. Aside from values, I would say materials as well, in terms of the climate that we live in, sub-Saharan, the arid, and the middle and the south, and east and west as well. Um, a driving factor could also be purpose of which, as to which a design is being built, and also like the story behind it. So I would say these core tenets kind of make something truly African. Yeah, that would be my answer.
Thank you very much, Ibuka. Thank you so much. So, Taslimah, um, do you think African architecture needs a single identity or many?
Um, I I don't think we need just one, because the most important thing I think for creatives in general is their voice. If everybody is doing the same thing, we might as well just scrap architecture and just, why are we admitting more people into architecture school? Just continue with the people that are already on ground. I think that everybody's voice is different. If we give, okay, let's look at competitions, for example. When competition briefs are sent out, everybody takes it home, works on it with their team. And then when they're coming back, they're not coming to present the same thing. They're coming with like fresh ideas, new, like they've done their research. We're seeing new levels to how we could do what we are currently doing. So I think that that is very important. We shouldn't just have one voice.
Thank you very much for that, Taslimah. So to me, in your opinion, what's missing in how we teach design identity to students today?
What's missing in how we teach design identity to students?
Yeah.
Um, I'm in the belief that when you are coming to architecture school, you should be coming with your own shared experience. And I must speak within the context of South Africa for a bit. And this could also make sense in Nigeria and other African countries, whereby in our context, we have, I'm a lecturer as well, so I'm actually dealing with students from a diverse tribes, cultures, which means that they also have their own sense of how they make sense of space, how they celebrate in their own ceremonies. So they have their own experiences of how they have, until architecture school, have made sense to their lids. So that would be the first aspect. And then through that, drive that through principles of understanding form, space, and order. I think if you are coming in with your own shared experience and learning, the fundamental principles of architecture, it can become a bit more authentic in how you choose to express, spaces. So, for example, you might be given the same project, and then, of course, all of us have a different way in how we celebrate, say, a living room. So, guided by understanding principles of architecture with your own lived experiences of what does that sense of space mean to you, does really give a bit more authentic self-expression of identity in architecture. Yeah.
Totally agree with you, Sterling. Thank you so much for that. So Ebuka, we'll be going back to you. Okay, so do you believe culture limits creativity or enhances it? And can you just give us like an example?
Thank you. I would say it can be both. It can be a two-edged sword, whereby if you are just being close-minded to just what you know, and not willing to learn and assimilate to what is out there, it can be like limiting. For example, when I first came here, came to Canada in the summer of 2016, I noticed that they build with a lot of wood. Like a lot of the structural frames here are wood. And I asked my friend, like, isn't this going to like fall down? Because back home in Nigeria, we have blocks, we have bricks, and our floor, we use a lot of tiles because of the cooling effects it has, because we live in more tropical climates. So if you're pigeonholed into a certain narrative of what you think architecture should be based on the culture you're from, that can limit you. That can limit how far and wide you can expose your mind to the possibilities that are obtainable. But if you're coming with a mindset to learn and assimilate to what is out there, I feel like that's where the real progress begins. That's where you see really amazing, well thought design that are in the world, because people have seen what is obtainable and assimilated to that.
Okay, thank you very much, Evita. So I'll also be asking this question to Taslimah and to me, so we can both get your perspective on this. Okay, so Taslimah, do you believe culture limits creativity or enhances it?
Okay. I think that culture enhances it. Trying to process my thoughts. Um, Culture enhances creativity for sure. So I don't know if, and now I'm going to be taking it out of the context of architecture just for us to understand what I'm trying to say. So, at the end of the year, there are a lot of festivals that go on in Nigeria, Oshogo Festival, Calabar Festival, and all that. People come to Nigeria because they want to have like fresh perspective. They want to be grounded in their culture. When they go to such festivals, they're able to pick one or two things that they can then reproduce. So I don't know if you know about the Nigerian architect Adeyemo Shokunbi and his new project called Nana Collective, and he's using indigenous materials in his buildings. Historically in Nigeria, we've built with mud, we've built with thatch. And I'm not saying that we should go back to building with mud or thatch. I'm just saying that we Adeyemo Shokunbi as a case study has looked for a way, or is using the indigenous ways of building now, the mud is redefining it to create a new form of architecture and how buildings can be going forward in Africa. That is an example of how culture has been able to impact design or creativity. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Taslimah. Okay, so to me, can you hear?
Hello?
Okay, yeah, can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes, yes,
so
yes.
before you start answering, I just want to tell you that this is our pitch to you to come to Nigeria and visit us in Nigeria. So you can just go ahead and answer your question. So do you believe culture limits creativity or enhances it?
It definitely enhances it. I am in the firm belief, and this is my position. This is my position that for at least in the context of South Africa, and which could arguably extend to Africa as a whole, that we still operate in this paradigm where the dominant node that we choose for architecture is still underpinned by a Eurocentric driven approach and paradigm. And in our context in South Africa, we are 30 years into post-apartheid South Africa, and really now, by really exploring these marginalized, subjugated cultures that for centuries have been put aside in how architecture is expressed in public spaces. has, it has been always at the back end. So now by really introducing culture in how we can start to, and of course we still have this, the natural order of what carries architectural expression through, form, space, and order, but that cultural element starts to now enhance and make architecture and how people experience it real, real in the sense that it feels something like home and not foreign. So with that question, it definitely enhances architecture.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, but don't forget, you still have to visit Nigeria too. Okay, so Ebuka, um, so you will be okay for the final question for culture and context for Ebuka. So you led things, you mentor young designers, you have a YouTube, you have ways you try and do context for young people. So how do you bring them to their roots? How do you make them, bring out their creative work?
Okay, thank you. I would say doing things from a place of authenticity and genuine curiosity has always been the foundation for anything that's done well, and that applies to cultural context regarding design. Um, just being curious about the way things work, what makes things move the way they move, why are things the way they are. Once you start questioning things and just seeing how things have been, seeing how things are, and seeing how things could be, I feel like just understanding that process of just being curious and just being authentic to yourself, it kind of brings people closer to who they are, and in bringing them closer to who they are, they start to gain confidence and genuine understanding for what they do, and make them a stronger, well-rounded designer in general.
Thank you very much, Eva. Okay, so Taslimah, so this question is for you. How do you approach projects that mix heritage and modernity without losing either?
Can you take the question again?
Okay, I said, how do you approach projects that mix heritage and modernity without losing either?
Okay, I'm trying as much as possible to answer this without, divulging the details of project I'm not supposed to. But how can I go about this? Okay, a great example is the EcoBank exhibition that recently closed here in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, and the work was, we had just 1 week to come up with that project. And again, as I said, storytelling is an integral part of my process. So it's not just, even though we had such little time, we didn't just go straight to let's just go and find furniture, just arrange something. So when I got the brief, it was the first thing to do was just to work on the story. Okay, everybody that is passing through, coming to the EcoBank exhibition, what emotions do we want them to feel? And then start finding the possible guests or possible visitors to our booth. And then when we already got that, and when we already knew the emotions we wanted people to feel, then we're able to now proceed to the actual design, furniture sourcing, and all of that. So yeah, that's how I work, or that's how my process goes in terms of empathy, heritage building, research-based kind of work. So actually understanding the work before diving into it, regardless of the time that you're given.
Thank you very much for that testimony. To me, so this is an appeal to you again. Come to Nigeria. Come and visit us. So you see, Tesla has been giving examples of Nigeria, so you really need to come. Okay, so this question is for you, Sonia. How can African architects celebrate culture without being trapped in it?
Sure. You see, I don't know if I can ask you questions. I was going to ask you the question: how can culture trap us? How can culture trap us if that is how we are authentically expressing ourselves? It could be a case if you are going to pigeonhole yourself into this way of architectural expression based fundamentally by culture. Could be a way that it could trap us. But I would think that authentically as Africans, we have to tap into culture to have an authentic architectural expression that reflects us, So, and that, of course, is really context-based, being rooted in access to local materials. It could be also a case of really integrating indigenous knowledge systems. And I think it's a double play, yeah, because if you are engaging in architecture when you are still, weaving between tapping into what is the new technology of construction and integrating that with indigenous knowledge system, that can start to now have a nice blend of contemporary but still local and authentic to what people could, be familiar with. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for me. And I'm the one asking the question. Don't worry. Others asking questions with Okay, so Ebuka, so for the next question, if you could redesign one public space in your city, what story would you want it to tell?
I don't really go out like that here in Toronto, but um, I'd say the intersection between like Spadina and like just line one and line two. There's just a lot of like, so it's in the midtown. It's like downtown, but that's kind of where the line two that goes east west meets the line one that goes north south. And during peak hours, let's say around 8 a.m. in the morning or around 5 p.m. in the evening, there's a lot of traffic there. So just try to find an intervention whereby you divert that to a different place, or just the way you design it, whereby it's not very clustered and like overwhelming while navigating through the city. I think that would be my answer.
What's it? Thank you very much for that, Ibuka. Okay, so I'll also be asking Taslimah and Tumi that same question before we start the reflection session. Okay, so Taslimah, if you could design one public space in your city, what story would you want it to tell?
Okay, it would be the public secondary school, public primary and secondary school around me. The building is in a state of despair. I mean, despair is actually a very good word because what that place looks like, I mean, I it's it's terrible. And then children still have to learn in that kind of space. And I wonder, would these children actually be able to learn, or they're just going, just because just to have somewhere to go to every day? And it honestly makes me feel some type of way. So if I was given the task to redesign anything, it would be that public school. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Taslimah. That's really inspirational. It touched me. Okay, so Tumi, what if you could design a place in your city, what would it be and why?
Sure. Well, I live in Gqeberha, Port Elizabeth, but I think I would actually choose to design something from my hometown, East London, and it would be. Well, let me just first talk about the site. Now, the site would be in Central. Now, we have a very unique landscape in East London whereby the boat form of Central, the CBD, it's encroaching on these green belts that kind of wraps around the city form, which is a barrier between that and the harbor itself as a structure barrier. So for me, I would actually design something, and it's coming off as a brief I developed years ago as a student in my 4th year. But it would be something of a nature of a biodiversity conservancy, thing, mixed use, and still finds a way to kind of connect the urban form of the city and the harbor. So it's something that I think would actually, would become an urban connector and actually open up more opportunity for development around that particular node. So that is something I would gladly design in my city.
Thank you very much for that, Simi. Okay, so we have 2 more general questions before we wrap up this reflection session. Okay, so Ebuka, what's one practice you use to keep your creativity alive every day?
Good question. Also, one practice I used to keep my creativity alive. I journal like a lot. I journal everything from just my to-do list to just how I'm feeling. Sometimes poetry. Just having a notes where I just kind of write my ideas down because my brain sometimes moves like 100 kilometers per hour. Just writing things down, seeing it, kind of getting back to the drawing board, kind of keeps me like productive and just reminds me of just the things that I need to do and the things that I have done well of. So I'd say that.
Thank you so much for that, Ebuka. Okay, so Taslimah, what's one practice you use to keep your creativity alive every day?
Writing, but if I'm being truthful, I watch a lot of baby videos. So anytime I'm having a bad day, or even generally when I've worked for an extensive period of time, I just go on YouTube and I'm watching baby videos and I'm happy. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Taslimah. Uh, okay, so to me, what's one practice you use to keep your creativity alive every day?
I would say designing, because I think I have to. The core amount of my time is towards lecturing, and it can become boring. I won't lie, it's boring. It can become redundant. It's so boring. Even worse, marking. The more marking is just it's low energy stuff. When I get to that low energy stuff, it's low energy. I'm like, no, man. And I said this yesterday to my students, and I said, okay, class, I had to make a choice, and I chose myself. I had no time to mark your work. I apologize because it is so boring. So being in any space of just creating and designing, and it could be an easy thing of exploring your ideas. I think as naturally creative people, we always have ideas, and finding a system whereby we can actually sit down and really just think through our ideas and work with AI even better. So I'll just it'd be a case whereby, chat, this is up, man. Chat, I have this intriguing idea, and then you just kind of really crystallize your ideas using AI. But I think for me, just being in a space whereby you're just exploring with your ideas is, for me, keeps my creative juices flowing.
Thank you so much for that. So for the final question for this session, so it's for us young architects that you have to, you guys are our bosses here. So if you could give an advice to your younger self, a younger designer, what would it be? Starting from Ebuka.
Okay. I feel like there's a stigma in practice and also in school when you either fail or when you don't get the grades that you want, or when you get laid off from a job. I'm being vulnerable here. In my first job, before even my graduation, I worked there for 2 months and I got laid off. And I feel like I can share this openly because of what happened after that. At first, I was just a bit reluctant to tell my friends and my family, but there's a form of imposter syndrome that starts to develop once you are being told you're not good enough, or you're not getting a design well, or you're not technically adept to different softwares. But something that has helped me over the years and something that I can share with people that I want people to know is that it was a quote from this guy. His name is Alex Homozy. It says, "You don't become confident by shouting affirmations into the mirror, but you do this by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are exactly who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt." At first, this quote didn't really mean any. It didn't really mean much to me because, like, I was still kind of in the thick of things. But as time goes on, or as time went on, rather, and as I gained experience, I opened up a folder on my laptop, and the name of the folder is "Proof that I'm exactly who I say I am." So every single win I have had, every single comment from a student that I've taught, every single project deadline I've completed, every video that has made like 1,000 views or comments on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, I take a screenshot of it to remind myself that there are times where you would have imposter syndrome kick in, but having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you are, I just go there, open the folder, look at it, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I just close it and get back to work. So I would say, like, just developing that habit of immersing yourself in your work. Then and only then can you have proof that you are who you say you are. And that kind of builds credibility, that builds authenticity, and that kind of creates a solid foundation whereby you can be able to express yourself and express your ideas clearly and effectively. So that would be uh, a tip I would give to younger designers. Even I give it to myself every day. I keep reminding myself that you're who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt. This is what you've done. This is what you can do, and just keep it going. So that's what I would say to young designers and aspiring architects.
Thank you so much for that, Ibuka. Thank you so, so much. So Taslimah, if you could give one advice to a younger designer, what would it be?
Okay, I don't know if this is exactly an advice, but um, sometimes when I'm trying out a new thing, or should I say, when you first start to post your work, or even before you even start at all, there's this overwhelming sense of I can't, or I'm not doing it enough, or if I check so and so person's Instagram or LinkedIn, they're just doing amazing. Like if I ever post my work, people will just be laughing at me like, what exactly am I doing? And it's very easy to fall into that trap without remembering that that person that you're looking at their work, it has taken them 10 years to actually find their own creative voice. You're looking at Zadid's work and you're like, oh, my core is not, it's not, my parametric building is not parametric enough. And you're just putting yourself under all of that pressure because your post doesn't have 1,000 likes. The truth is just that those persons have spent 10, 15, sometimes 20 years. They won't say it's the first time you meet them, but when you go and look at their story, they've spent so much time. And then we just try to like beat ourselves up and say, oh, you that you just started what you're doing 5 months ago and you're complaining, like, please get back to work and continue to push out your work, because if you don't push out all that rubbish, the good ones will never come. Yeah, I'll just, yeah, that's just my advice. Just do your thing. You're not in any race with anybody. all the people that you're admiring, use their work to like would I say to create your own mood board, so that when you combine everything and you release yours, it's going to be like, this is actually really nice. They will not know that everybody serve, you just they gather idea from different places. Yeah, so that would be my advice.
Thank you so much, Taslimah. Please push out your rubbish. Push out your rubbish. Don't worry.
It's a very profound.
Okay, thank you, Taslimah.
It's a very profound remark. She
Yeah, it
said,
is.
even Let's Talk Design, that's what Let's Talk Design has been. We've been having random conversations from time to time, even up until now, and we're still going and pushing.
So if people wondering why there are two Let's Talk Design here, Toby is the founder of Let's Talk Design. Okay, so to me, if you could give one advice to your younger self, a young designer, what would they do?
I think it would just be to remind the youngins coming up that architecture is a very broad space, and you yourself, you can't. It's not a race, as what Taslimah was saying. It's really a thing of you have to be fully engaged, and it's also a thing of it comes in seasons. It comes in seasons, and for me, I would suggest that to really engage in architectural theory, to make sure you understand exactly the whole history of how and what informs design. That'd be one thing, and to also be a bit courageous. Have courage. I think we're in a space now where people can resonate very well with our work, even though we may feel a type of way, but we need to have that feedback, by showing our work, to kind of let us know whether or not, maybe I should pull back and focus more on this aspect. But courage and consistently engaging within the whole discourse of architecture and finding your lane. We are in this marathon as a whole, and we all in different lanes. And in that space, we can just really, find our strides as time goes and so forth. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, so the floor is open. If you have any questions for any of the guests, you are free to raise up your hand and just ask. So if you have any questions, okay, so we have a question. Okay, so we can go ahead.
Thank you. I'd say it's been really insightful hearing and, learning from all your experiences. I have a question. What has been your biggest challenges so far, in architecture or in design as a whole? And this is not related to context and culture. This is just the practice of architecture in general. You sometimes wish, why am I in architecture? Can I do something different? What was the end goal? Why did I do architecture? Is it a means to another design field, or it just gives me more freedom? So what's been a challenge, and how are you, going about, making it? They say if life chose you a lime or a lemon, you make it lemonade out of it. So how are you able to, make the best of it? Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are free to answer. You can. Okay, in fact, all of you should just answer. Starting from Edith.
I knew it. Okay. The first challenge I encountered after graduating from university was, so in Winnipeg, the city that I lived in is a really small city, and in order to get a job, whether as an architectural intern or interior designer, or a designer like in general, you needed a master's degree. You need a master's degree, and in a city whereby it's a small city and you're only as good as a graduate degree, that's like tough. That means you either have to go back to graduate school to get your graduate's degree and come back to it. It's quite challenging. Doing 4 or 5 years of school and having to look at the job market and just see, oh, is there a place for me? Like, can I actually make it? Are my dreams valid? Can I make it in the city that I kind of grew up in or I went to school in? I think that was kind of the first challenge for me. But when I overcame that by just being true to my work and making sure my portfolio kind of stood out, I came across another challenge when I moved to a city as big as Toronto. It's like now you're in the big leagues. Like there are more companies here. There's a plethora of different design styles, different design companies, different design philosophies, and just different design works that you could do. I currently work for a company that specializes in theme parks, water parks, snow theme parks, immersive experiences. And having to sit in the interview, explain why I would be a good enough fit for the company was one of a really challenging thing, because normally I just done residential interiors, I had done corporate interiors, I had done restaurants, but sitting there looking at the interviewer asking me, we do a lot of themed experience, we do a lot of immersive things. What do you feel that makes you stand out from the rest? And I was like, oh wow, today's today. But having to navigate conversations like that and just backing yourself up to a point where you know who you are, you know what you can do, you know that if you're given a chance to express yourself and join a team whereby you can learn and also unlearn certain things that you thought you knew, I think that was a big challenge, but it was a challenge that I'm glad I took on, because I transitioned from a role of just a designer to a BIM coordinator. BIM coordination is another aspect of design, of another aspect that I'm kind of growing into. I just got my certification 2 months ago, so I'm just kind of learning the ropes and seeing how that can transition. Because, like Tumi mentioned, architecture is a really broad field. You could end up doing so many things with just the knowledge of architecture. So I would say those have been my challenges so far. But with challenges, it's a opportunity to kind of prove yourself, opportunity to learn, opportunity to figure out if you like it, if you don't like it. But again, come on, we all have bills to pay, so just keep doing it, keep figuring out if it's your style, if it's something that you want to do on a long run, if it's something you want to do on a short term and transition into something else, and if it's something you want to do in the first place, to be honest. And those I would say are my challenges so far. Another challenge I would say would be, so let me take it back. When I was in university, I had ideas, I had these crazy ideas, but the disconnects would come whereby I had my ideas, but I didn't know how to translate it into something graphic. I didn't know how to show it. And there's only so much you can do with sketching if you're not great at sketching. I could sketch, but that's kind of where learning programs, learning software is. I was fortunate enough to see the need for learning BIM software, so even visualization software. Like my friends like Kenny Omusa and Victor Odusanya, we learned it's quick in third year, because we knew that in the job market rewards people that actually know how to produce drawings. If you're being honest with ourselves, so that would be a challenge that I would say people should kind of look forward to, whereby you need to know how to show your work in the medium that is generally acceptable in the real life, in real world, and also generally in a medium that you feel comfortable in. So just kind of having a plethora of understanding or knowledge of how things work, what tools can get me the desired outcomes, could be a challenge that you could face. So I think I've rambled for a long time. So I'll pass the mic to Taslimah and Tumi. Continue.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, we learned a lot. You can continue. Yeah, getting points from you. Thank you so much for that, Eva. Okay, so Taslimah.
Please, can you go for the question again?
The question is, what has been your challenges so far in architecture as a career? Is it the financial reward, the creative experience, working in the practice, And how have you been able to make a lemonade out of the lemon that architecture has thrown at you? How have you been able to make, the best of it? Has it been a means to an end as architecture led you to photography, or you're still in architecture? Or have you given up completely on architecture? And what are you doing about all of this?
Well, I won't say I'm doing architecture purely, to be quite honest, because again, I'm not even working in an architectural firm. I'm working in an interior design company. Honestly, it's hard for me to say pick one challenge. It's not as if when I'm going by my day to day, I'm not tired or like, which kind of work is this? But thinking about it now, I honestly do not see them as challenges like that. But I'm just grateful for the experience. Yeah. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Taslimah. Okay, so to
Yeah, so I think we all can relate to the challenges that we face in understanding architecture. As a student, through the projects we engage in. But what really stands out for me is the transition from graduating to my master's and going into practice. And it can be a case of just expectations that you did have. You think that you're going to have a sense of control and freedom on architectural projects, but that itself is a bit of a shift mentally, that transition where you are ground zero again, really, and just really learning the curve within the professional space. It can become a challenge overcoming that of what you did expect going into that. And I would say, but for me, I can just say for me, COVID was a great event. No, not to say I'm grateful for COVID, but in that being the first one out in the practice I was working in, being fired, because I would say that another challenge might come to be is when you might be a bit too comfortable in where you're working at, and through that not spearing into finding and grounding your own practice. So just that space where architects might, play it safe a bit. So those are the real challenges, which is more in the professional setting.
thank you so much for that. You guys spoke so well. Like, do you have another question for them so you can learn more? So, does anybody else have any question? You can just raise up your
Okay,
hand
yeah.
if you do.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear
Okay,
me? I have a question.
yeah, go ahead, please.
All right. My name is Olawale, and it's so good to have you guys here, like everyone here. I've been following Ebuka Idafo for a while now, and actually, we have unsorted business. You wanted to teach us a webinar, I think, was it 2 years ago or 1 year ago, about creating Revit components, and I actually look forward to that for something happened. And so my question, as an architectural student, um, how do you overcome the, let's say, the difficulty? Because when I design, there are like endless possibilities to design. So like, how do you narrow down to say, okay, this is the design I'm choosing? Because when we're given brief in studio, I do like iterations of my design. I have so many design, and it's not up until deadline is coming. I'll just okay, let me just choose this one and go forward with it. But like, how do you know that okay, this is the design to go for, and how do you narrow down your design process in order to like meet deadline? Yeah, that's my. I don't know if you get the question, but that's my question.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Olawale. Okay, so Ebuka, since you owe him something, you're required to answer this question.
Yeah, I do apologize. funny enough, that day my Wi-Fi was horrible, and I was scared that today the same thing might happen. So I mean, we can schedule like a one-on-one class for that. But I feel like even within school and in practice, it's the same thing. Whereby the only thing that separates school and practice is because practice you're dealing with money, you're dealing with actual real life clients that need something at a certain date. With school, it's just to submit, hand in your work and submit your work. And I also struggled with this as well. For the most part of my second year, whereby you have ideas and you have different iterations, and it's not up until the deadline day that you actually finalize what you want. And sometimes you might not really kind of lead with your strongest foot. I would say being true to the brief and being true to the design expectations and design deliverables can help in just figuring out which design or which iteration you would like to move on with. In practice, it's like you're not the only one working, and your company is also not the only one working, because chances are the clients hired your company as an architectural consultant, then hired an engineering consultant, a structural MEP, you know, you know, plumbing. So there's a shared deadline in the workflow of whatever product you have, depending on the phase, whether you're working on concept, schematic design, design development, or construction documentation. Within a practice, there are more people that call the shots, like your seniors, the leads, whoever is the project lead. If you find yourself as a junior one, intermediate, you're either collaborating with each other to make sure the work is done and passing that information across to your leads in your meetings, in your coordination meetings. So I would say there's more structure in practice because deadlines are fixed and you're dealing with other people's money, as opposed to just in school when you're just submitting for an assignment. So I would say just being true to the brief, making sure you're in constant communication with your peers, your superiors, people that are under you, and just making sure you are actually fulfilling the client's needs and the client's wants in a timely manner. I would say that would be my answer.
Thank you very much, Ibuka. Taslimah, to me, do you guys want to add one or two things to what Ibuka said?
I can add something. So I think for me, how we evaluate this within design school is that the critique comes when you are jumping between idea sets. For me, the real mark of an architect, designer, is when you have a design and you carry it through. The seed of the design is carried through, and of course, it will evolve through multiple iterations, but it's you carry through that idea and you can see it through your whole process work. And that for me is something I appreciate more than actually abandoning a design maybe 2 or 3 weeks into the brief because you feel that you haven't found the right expression, So yeah, just being holding the design idea and carrying it through for me is a mark of a good architectural student.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Olawale, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. Then I have one more
Thank you.
question.
Yeah, Sophie, go ahead.
Okay, so this question is to Teslima. I also
Thank
follow her
you.
work, and she's like a mentor to me. Because I also do architectural photography, and so my question would be, how how did you start with writing about architecture? Because I read your writings, essays you write, and I don't know how you come up with them because I don't write. I only write when I'm like very emotionally attached to what I want to write about. So like for someone looking to develop their writing skills, mainly about like architectural photography, how how should they approach that? And also, um, how do you like craft a story around photographies, like the photos you take. Like I take photos, and when the time comes to like tell a story about it, I just go from like just say a few things and I'm done. There's no depth. Like I see people talking, saying, let's say like talking about a photograph, and they can go on and on and on. Like how do you build that depth in telling stories about your photographs?
Okay, thank you. I'm humbled by the question. Okay, I would answer the first question. How do I build depth? By consuming a lot of work. I don't know if you were on the call when I mentioned earlier that before you can actually like be able to do good work, you don't just wake up one day and then boom, you have just done good work. That means, okay, say like on an average, you've consumed and internalized the principles of maybe photography or storytelling from like 10 solid people, and then you're picking things from everybody to actually create your own. So I'm not going to say, oh, it's just I just have it in me. No, I don't have anything in me. It's just because I consume people's work a lot. And depth is not something that comes to you in 3 months, in 1 month. It's something that as you grow, as you're doing stuff, your eyes, your voice gets refined. But for photography, the most important thing is your eyes. For architecture photography, there are so many people. There's nothing you are taking pictures of that people have not actually taken pictures of. But what is just important is your eyes. So if you're able to train your eyes, take more pictures. Oh, some person may be passing along the same road that you're passing, but what they're seeing is going to be quite different from what you're seeing. So you may want to do that, taking a lot of pictures, again, pour out the rubbish. As time goes on, you begin to like find clarity, your work gets to be more refined. I'm still on the journey, so I'm not an expert, but saying 5, 10 years, maybe when people see my work, even before they see my name, they already know, oh, this is Taslimah. But hopefully I get to that level. But you see, um I'm not trying to deceive myself by saying that, oh, if I just, even if I'm consistent every day, I'll just be posting in 3 months, I would have found my voice. It takes so long. And with writing, the only way you can become a good writer is by writing. It's not by thinking about writing. It's not just by reading other people's work. If you don't write, you're never going to be a good writer. So even if it's going to be hard or it's still hard for you, still try to write. Tomorrow again, force yourself. As you're forcing yourself one thing, it will come natural to you at some point. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Taslimah. Olawale, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does beautifully.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. So we'll be rounding up the session and we have a quick fire wrap up. So this session I'll just be asking you a question and you have to answer it very fast. Like the first thing that comes to your head, you have to say it. You must not think, please don't say please don't say. So it's just basically to get to know your architecture side and just so starting from Ebuka. Ebuka, you ready? I'm
Yes, I
sorry,
am
your
ready.
name is
No
E.
worries.
Your name is E. I'm sure you're tired already.
No worries. Okay.
Okay, no problem. So I'll be asking you this and you answer it very fast. So a building that changed how you think about architecture. Just answer it very fast.
The Seagram building by Miss Van der Rohe is in Chicago.
Mm, mm. Okay, okay. That was fast. Well, testimony to me, you guys have to be faster. So I'm asking you the same question because you heard the question now. So a building that changed how you think about design. Testimony. Oh my God.
Going to lie and say Cocoa
Yeah,
House. Sorry.
my Cocoa House. Cocoa House.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think at this point, but yeah.
Cocoa House. Okay. 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 So to me, you're answering very fast though. You must not laugh. You. A building that changed how you think about design.
Kadando, Church of Light.
He said, he said, if I'm not playing this game well,
Okay.
he said, but okay, thank you. So another question,
What was the name of the
very
building?
fast. He said church. Okay, to me.
I said Church of Light. I don't know the exact building, but I think those who know Tadando, they know that those who know knows. Church of Light.
Okay, thank you very much to me. Okay, so for the next question, you guys are answering it fast. No laughing, no end. So testimony to me, you guys will be very fast. So Ebuka, a quote you live by as a creative.
You don't become confident by shouting affirmations into the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are exactly who you say you are. Outwork yourself down.
Okay. 1 point to Ebuka. Okay, so Taslimah, a quote you live by as a creative.
Just keep doing. Just do it.
Okay, fair enough. 1 point to Taslimah. Okay, so to me, a quote you live by as a creative.
Anything and everything you imagine is real.
Okay. You guys are winning this. Okay, for the next one. Okay, we've answered this. So for the final one, rather, a message to an emerging designer to find their creativity.
You are enough.
Okay. Ebuka, another point. Teslimah.
Please, can you go over the question, please? That is not part of.
Okay. Okay, you are rehearsing. No problem now. A message to an emerging designer trying to find their creativity.
You can just do things. Just go and do anything, my dear.
This one really motivating us. Do just do
do
that's the Okay, so to me, to you, a message to an emerging designer trying to find their creativity.
Observe, respect the grace that came before you.
Wow. That's deep. So for the final one now, Ebuka, are you ready? Okay, so one thing you wish every young designer would unlearn, not learn, unlearn.
I said,
I say,
collaborate. Collaborate. Not collaborating enough. I would say you should be open to collaboration. That's my answer.
oh, okay. Thank you very much. Tesla to me, no, no, I didn't hear the question, so I'm going to say the question again. Okay, so one thing you wish every young designer would unlearn.
Competing with people you're supposed to learn from.
Hmm, fair enough. Another point to Taslimah and Ibuka. So to me, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing you wish every young designer would unlearn. To me, I think it's too much.
I don't know. I'm drawing blank. I don't know. That's a difficult question. That is a very difficult question. Yo, I don't know. What? Let's think about this. What is it that I would say? Yo, don't second guess yourself as a generic answer. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Sumi. So that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you, Sumi. Thank you, Taslimah. Thank you, Ebuka. So you guys can drop your handles. People have mentees here unknowingly. So please, you can drop your handles so we can follow you on Instagram. Any accounts you want to drop, so you can just drop it in the in-call session. So in-call message rather. So we can follow you. And also, I'll be handing over to Toby to round up. Toby joined us today. Please, we have to use Toby well. So, Toby, please go ahead.
To be honest, thank you so much, baby. Maybe, where did you get all these your questions from? Even me, I was not on the hot seat. I was feeling the heat from here. Thank you so much for this. Really, you really prepared, and thank you so much to all, to me, to Taslima, to Ebuka. It was really fun, and it was really like I like the end where you had to do the speed answering. It was really fun. And if there's anything I've learned, is just do something, just put yourself out there. You build your confidence by doing, by making mistakes, by rising and falling. So, and I've really learned a lot, and this was really exciting. Thank you so much. I mean, it's a lot of time and money, considering Ebuka, Canada, Taslima, your time, you're busy. To me, your lecturer, you probably have scripts you should be marking by now. But yeah, you prioritized yourself and made time for people here, and I'm happy that even everyone who else is on the call, you benefited one thing or the other. Let's Talk Design, we just strive to grow one another, share resources, and thank you so much, BME, and I really learned a lot. Look forward to the next one. And if you're open to supporting this vision in any way, in any capacity, we're actually looking at volunteers. Absolutely. Thank you so much. That's all I can say, and it's been a great pleasure. And I'm happy I didn't give up on this idea a long time ago. To be honest, I had every reason to just say, who sent me? Why am I doing this? Why am I having design conversations? But thanks to people, we've teamed up. Actually, that's one thing, collaboration. It can be overemphasized. So yeah, I'm happy we have this. I know that Let's Talk Design is good voices, and you're all part of the story. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Toby. Great to have you on board. So you guys can still drop your handles. Ebuka has dropped his. And as Toby said, please, we are looking for volunteers. You can send me a message or Toby a message on LinkedIn if you are willing to do this. I will be happy to have you on board. So thank you very much, everyone, and expect our next session. Don't worry, it's going to be fun. You can go ahead, Toby.
I want to especially thank Kenyo. Kenyo has been on the call. Kenyo is my colleague too. Kenyo, I'll just mention Irene. Maybe we should just give opportunity for people to just introduce themselves before they go, so we meet people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Kenya is also my mentor. I met him in 2017 in Winnipeg. So Kenya, please, can you unmute yourself and show your
Thank you so much for the recognition, and thank you for being a part of this really great insight. Like the thing about collaboration, about growing up, the energy, everything is really good information today. So I really appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing, and hopefully we can see more from the future. Thank you.
Thank you. How about Tolu Lokwe Adi Aga, if I got that right? Yeah. Thank you for joining. Do you want to mention, shout out briefly, or Stephanie Anumi here, Muhammad Muslima, Farouk Adam, Ayodidi Adeshola. Okay. In that case.
Thank you so much, bro. putting this together. I really appreciate. I've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys via your handles. Thanks so much.
Uh, Good evening, guys. Thank you for this meeting. This is the third one I'm attending so far. I've been attending from the beginning, and each session has really been informative and really fun. I want to send a special shout out to Toby and the host, Brim Solar Samo. I want to say you guys are doing a really good job, and thank you very much. I'm excited for the next one, and I hope to see you guys there.
Thank you, DG. Appreciate that.
Sorry, please, can I add one more thing? At the risk of being an ingrate, I just want to also thank Toby and Ebuka too. I think it's very, very important. Share your work. You never know who's looking, who is watching. So always, always share your work. It's very, very important. Toby, like, pushed me extra this weekend to do that, and I saw like positive results. That's yeah, I mean, you can share your work.
Ebuka inspires us. So Ebuka, they always share content on Instagram or LinkedIn. I just come, read. Ebuka, please cut soap for us. Share how are you doing? This your consistency is second to none. Yeah, thank God, thank God. I think one of the things that moving to maybe you're mute. One of the things that moving to a new country does is you literally have the online media to actually leverage on and put yourself out there, because you can be really good and be hidden and nobody knows you from anywhere. So I think that's one of the things that putting your work out there does.
There's one more thing Ebuka didn't say. Ebuka did not say something, but don't worry, he doesn't want to say. So we still have two more people that are yet to introduce themselves, Muhammad, Taslimah, and Farouk Adam. So please, we would like to meet you. Good evening.
Hi, baby. Hi, Taslimah.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for joining,
Hi.
Yeah, it was very, very insightful. I mean, I did not expect any less. I joined the first episode and I missed the second one, and I'm glad I decided to join the third one as well. I think a lot of things that you guys said really resonated with me. When Ebuka spoke about being more open to collaboration, it's something that I find myself lacking in, because sometimes as a young architect, you just feel like I can do everything myself. Let me just keep doing everything myself. But I've started putting myself in spaces where I get to work with others, and there's always something more to learn. And it's important to find that community, because architecture really thrives in a community-based setting. And also, like Taslima said, just do things. And, like Ebuka said, the imposter syndrome sometimes gets to you. But if you put yourself out there, you'll be surprised to actually see how much you can do and how you can put, that creativity into graphics, like you said. So really insightful. Then Tumi mentioned Church of Light. It's actually a building that I remember I watched it in a movie, and I even being a Muslim, because it's actually a church, I remember looking at that building and I was really inspired, because it shows how buildings can actually communicate with people. And I'm glad to see that, because when I watched the movie, I didn't know the name, but as he mentioned it, I went to search them and I found the name of the building. So that was, it was really nice to see that someone also gets to appreciate the same things that you do when we talk about architecture. So I look forward to more. Definitely. So thank you very much.
Amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Muslima. And by the way, Ebuka, Muslima is also into contact. So you guys can just link up and just, say Muslima to Ebuka.
Okay.
So,
I'll be looking forward to that.
Farouk Adam. Farouk Adam, can you hear us? Okay, he probably has network issues or something. Okay, so thank you once again, everybody, for joining us. Thank you. Thank you for our day one that's been joining us from the first series to this one. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you guys for the next one. So as amazing speakers, like it wasn't easy pulling everybody to come and like right on the spot, they were like, oh, I'm glad to join. I'll be happy to join. And we really appreciate you guys. Let's Talk Design. And we hope to see you doing really, really well. Taslimah, Ibuka, Tumi. Tumi is a lecturer. It's not easy for an architecture lecturer to have time. So we really appreciate it, Tumi. You're muted, Tumi.
So yeah, thank you, Bimi, for the opportunity just to share. And it's still a journey for all of us, and I think just to draw our teachings from our own experiences does and can really contribute very well to our own path that we have going forward. So thank you very much for the platform. I appreciate it.
And to me, when next we're coming to South Africa, we'll be happy to reach out to you.
Say again?
When next I'm coming to South Africa, we know who to meet with.
Yeah, no, come to the coast. That's where I'll be. Yeah, if I come to the coast, absolutely.
Don't worry, Taslimah will be there to also take a few pictures very soon. I know.
Fantastic.
Exactly. Tumi, I'm also pushing you come to Nigeria though. But yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you so much, Baby. You did a fantastic job coordinating everybody. Thank you, Baby.
Thank you, Toby, for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. Good night. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.